Coming up on today's show, I talk about my recent thoughts of the Uncharted film. Hello YouTube, it's PSA Gaming Scotland here and welcome back to another video. Hope you guys are well and gaming lots. So in today's video, I'll be giving you my thoughts on the recent Uncharted film. This will be my first ever film review on the channel, and yeah, let me know your thoughts below of the video and of this film. So obviously before we get to the video, since the film has just released this month, there will be no spoilers in this video. So yeah, let's jump into my review of the Uncharted film. Now, before we get to the actual film itself, leading up to the film, when it was announced that we were getting an Uncharted film, I was really intrigued and excited to see how they would take the games and make that into a film. Originally I was under the impression, from what I've seen online and my own personal thoughts talking with friends, that Uncharted being the name of the film would mean just the first game would be included within the film, as that would make sense. If, depending on how well the first game did, that potentially meant more sequels and more of the other films getting their shot, their big time of a film getting made about them. But I was wrong in that regard. However, I totally understand why Sony wanted to include multiple parts or Easter eggs from the original games into this film. They wanted to obviously bring in a new audience to the franchise, and also people that haven't necessarily played the games before. Now this is quite a good business move, I think, as obviously gaming's becoming a lot more popular, a lot more mainstream, which is fantastic, getting more eyes on the franchise and within the gaming industry as a whole. And this also leads into what Jim Ryan did say recently, or in a recent interview, that they want to increase the amount of eyes on the gaming platform as PlayStation, with Microsoft and Nintendo making it into like 100 million plus people playing the games and what have you. So the only way that I can see them achieving that goal is by making all their well-known IP within the gaming industry and making them into films, like we've seen with the Uncharted film or Tomb Raider or the recent Mortal Kombat film, or making them into like TV shows such as the new Last of Us, and we are apparently getting a Ghost of Tsushima film or TV show apparently, and also a Twisted Metal film or TV show with a new game eventually. Now obviously they are just in rumour territory, the last couple that I mentioned, but yeah, I do think it's important to have franchises that we know and love in the gaming sphere and be able to make them into films, TV shows for a wider audience. That would definitely increase the numbers, and just having more eyes into the gaming people on these games. Now if you're somebody that's never played the games but you've seen the film, that might make you then buy a PlayStation, Xbox, Nintendo or what have you, and potentially want to play these games. Now I can see kind of the same sort of idea with the Last of Us PS5 remake. Obviously I don't personally think we need a new Last of Us remake, as the PS4 version still holds up really well today. But yeah, that's the sort of same mentality we're starting to see. These IPs from beloved game franchises are getting made into films, TV shows for a wider audience, which would then in turn mean that those people who aren't necessarily gamers watch the film, want to know more about the franchise, so they'll maybe get a PlayStation and get the game to go with it. So yeah, that's only going to increase profits for Sony, etc. So I can totally understand and see why Sony are wanting to make the Uncharted games into maybe one film, maybe two, maybe multiple films, and create a new franchise surrounding one of my favourite franchises on the PlayStation of all time. So getting into the film then, from a gaming perspective, I really loved seeing the different Easter eggs from the games in this film, and I did find the film to be a very good action film. It's obviously to do with treasure hunting. It's obviously very similar to the Indiana Jones films in terms of the treasure hunt, and I do think this film will get compared to that for people who aren't within, haven't watched this Uncharted film before or haven't heard of the franchise or games. But yeah, it's a pretty good action orientated film with a lot of good laughs in there, and it's really family orientated, which is really good. And obviously Sony have said, depending on how successful this first Uncharted film is, will maybe lead into a sequel and more films in this new Uncharted franchise within the film industry, which is obviously going to be a good thing. However, I did find the casting leading up to the film a bit strange, even though, don't get me wrong, Tom Holland, Mark Wahlberg are really good, well established actors, and this almost leads into the thinking of, I assume Sony from my point of view, oh, if we get really good actors in this franchise, that might make it more appealing to a wider audience, which then in turn might mean some of those people might transfer into the actual games themselves. So I can see it from a business point of view. They wanted to have their own unique story in this film, with a few of the Easter eggs from the games in the film as well, to please the gamers of this fantastic franchise, which that makes total business sense from my point of view. But from a gaming point of view, the casting of Tom Holland, Mark Wahlberg, and the lassie that played Chloe, I thought she was fine, to be honest. But I just felt the cast seemed like very stiff, and I'm not really sure that they gelled very well together. And also, where was Elena? I didn't see Elena at all. Don't know why she wasn't mentioned in this film. Maybe I'm something I'm missing, I don't know. But I would have liked to have seen that trio of Nate, Sully, Elena, that original trilogy of characters, with obviously Chloe and Nadine came in later, and obviously some of the bad guys as well. Now that might happen in future films, don't get me wrong, but I did like Antonio Banderas as the main sort of bad guy. I thought he played the part well, and then there's also sort of henchman type woman as the next in line enemy, as well as the two supporting enemy characters. I thought there were some good laughs in there from them, and really good action sequences within the whole film. So yeah, overall I found the film to be quite a good action, family oriented film, really good Easter eggs in there from the games, from the gaming point of view, and it did appeal to a wider audience from what I can see. And we'll obviously have to wait and see how successful this film and franchise will be from a film perspective going forward. But yeah, if there was another film out there, I would definitely go and see it. And yeah, we'll just have to see how this plays out. But yeah, and really just the casting was my sort of main issue with the film, to be honest. But yeah, there are my pros and cons, some of my thoughts about the franchise. Let me know before we end the video today if you've watched the film, if you're planning on watching the film, or if you're not really bothered at all. Let me know your thoughts below. And finally, I want to try something new to end my videos. I've thought about this for a long time, so before we end the video as normal, since it's an Uncharted sort of themed video today, I really want to either recommend a game or maybe advise of a game I've played that I would recommend you avoid. So they're the sort of two categories. So since it's obviously Uncharted themed, I would obviously recommend, especially if you've watched the first Uncharted film for the first time recently, or if you're about to watch it and want to know more about the games or want to know more about the lore or the universe of Uncharted, definitely starting with the very first game in the series, Uncharted, would definitely be my recommendation if you were new. However, if you've got, that's on PS3, but if you've got PS4, I would recommend the Nathan Drake collection. Now that is a collection of the first 3 Uncharted games in the franchise. But if you've got a PS5, you've obviously got the recent Uncharted collection, which includes Uncharted 4 and The Lost Legacy. So if you've got a PS4 or PS5, then you've potentially got access to the full lineup of Uncharted games at your disposal. So yeah, but my main recommendation for this video is the Nathan Drake collection, or the first Uncharted, as that is a good first entry point, and it's the very first game in the franchise. Now, obviously the games have separate stories, but they are sort of interlinked and what have you. So yeah, that is my video on my first film review for the Uncharted film. As always, let me know your thoughts below. Is this film a good one in your eyes, or is it one that definitely needs a bit more work? But yeah, that is the end of today's video. As always, thank you very much for watching. I've been PHA Gaming Scotland, and I'll see you on another video. Thanks very much indeed, guys. Bye bye.